Hey guys, welcome to the Sharks Academy, and in this video I want to talk to you about the weekly market analysis moving on to next week. So first of all, where are we going to trade for Aussie yen? You understand that we have a 4 hours demand zone here, and you can see prices broke structure, taps into this demand, failed to make a higher high, and breaks down. So ultimately, this demand zone, we can go and see, right? It taps into this demand, makes a high, then breaks down. So where are we trading from? We are potentially going to trade from this level over here, right? Because this is your flip zone. Prices broke structure, taps into your demand, failed to make a high, broke down. This becomes your flip zone, and I'm going to look to sell here. Okay, and of course, prices can make its way higher into this level. So are we going to do the guesswork? Are we going to place sell limits over here? We are not going to do that, right? We understand that in Sharks Academy, we are going to do confirmations. We're going to wait for prices to tap into our supply, give us the shift on a lower time frame, then we take trades. So this is applicable for both supply areas like this. All right. So how do we actually confirm these areas of supply and demand? So first of all, we can actually use the lower time frame to filter this, right? This is the 4-hour time frame supply area, and what we can do is we can refine this like this, right? Refine this entire supply to a smaller range. And similarly, over here on the lower time frame, we can do it as well. So let's look for it. You can see on the 15 minutes time frame, we have this refined area. Okay, and maybe on the lower time frame, even the 5 or the 1 minute, we may even have a more refined area, of course, right? So it depends on you. On the 15 minutes, I have this refined that I'm looking for. And ultimately, remove this, okay? And of course, over here on the 15 minutes, we do not have a refined area. We could argue that there's one over here, a really small one. But what I'm looking for would be a 15-minute shift in structure. So once prices comes back into this level, shifts, I'm going to take the trade, right? Like this. Break of structure, supply area. This is how I'm going to take the trade. And of course, over here as well, if prices comes back, gives me the shift in structure, I can look for sells over here. So of course, if you are not working on a 15 minutes time frame, and if you are working on the 5 minutes or even the 1 minute time frame, then you can do that, right? You can go down to the 1 minute, understand the range that you are working with. You know that if prices were to shift on the 1 minute time frame while approaching your supply area, you can get stopped out multiple times before the real shift begins, right? So you can even do this last sweep before the breakdown like this. Okay, all of these are possible, and that's the thing about trading on the 1 minute time frame, because you understand that the movements are so small that it can actually distribute over a longer period of time. While on the 15 minute time frame, if you were to look at this entire movement, it's going to look somewhere cleaner. You're going to look like this, right? The lows, the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows, the highs, then the breakdown. So if you can't imagine that on the 15, it basically means that you're just going to see a very clean movement like this on the 15. And on the 1 minute, you're going to look for something like this. And that's why you work on the higher time frames. So ultimately, it depends on you. You're going to work with the time frame you're comfortable with. So next up, we have the Aussie dollar, and you can see that we are going downtrend. We are going to move towards the downside. When prices break structure over here, I'm looking for sells. And the question is, where am I looking for sells? I'm going to sell the immediate range over here, right? So this is my area of sells. So what you can do immediately is to refine this 4-hour supply into something smaller like this. This is the refined area, okay? And you can even go lower on the 15 and refine them like this. Okay, so we have this another POI over here, and we have another POI over here. Okay, so all of these areas are ways you can get involved. So I would remove this entire 4 hours range and just simply work off these levels over here. So what am I looking for? When prices taps into my area over here, I'm going to look for the shift in structure, right? So instead of placing sell limits at the 15 minutes refined area like this, I'm going to wait for the 1 minute shift inside of these refined areas. So let's go down to the 1 minute. Understand that you are not interested in the price action over here because you have a POI to work with, right? Ultimately, you are waiting for prices to tap into your refined area. So of course, you can go down to the lower time frame on the 15 or one hour and catch the uptrend move into this level, because you are not going to get a move into this area unless this move turns bullish, right? So perhaps you can see a break of structure here. You can wait for prices to tap into this demand and potentially trade off this level, right? So of course, look for the confirmations, the shift, the breaks, and when this happens, you understand that you are going bullish until prices reaches this area. So with that, I may look for a trade over here. Okay, I'm going to look for a shift in structure to push prices higher into these levels over here. Then go down to the lower time frame and look for the shift in structure, maybe on the 1 minute, on the 5 minutes. Okay, look for the shift when prices taps into this area, understanding that you have so many POIs to work with. So what if you get something like this and then prices fails to make a low? Then you understand that this will be used as liquidity for prices to make its move higher, right? It incentivizes prices to move higher and then shift from here. So if you are waiting for a POI over here, then you may not get tapped into, right? Because prices has to fail to break demand before prices can go higher into this supply area. So if prices fracture the order flow over here and makes its way down, then this POI will not get tapped into. So you have to understand what you're getting into. Over here, we have the Euro Pound, and you can see we are ultimately in a downtrend, right? We have highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows. So we're ultimately trying to sell. And where are we selling from? On the 4-hour time frame, we're going to sell over here. Okay, this is a valid 4-hour sell. Prices may go deeper before moving off. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to wait for a break of structure on the 4-hour time frame if you are looking to trade on the 4 hours. Okay, so now this is a swing low on the 4 hours. And if you are looking for a move higher, then the breakdown, this gives us the intention that prices wants to go lower, right? And with that, you understand that on your 4-hour time frame, you are going downtrend with your overall time frame over here, right? Because this is the larger time frame bias, this is the larger bias in the market. And if you're trading on the 4 hours, you want to wait for a 4-hour shift, and this becomes your 4 hours pro trend. Okay, because yes, on this time frame, you're looking at the 4 hours, but this doesn't mean that you're trading on the 4 hours, right? What you want to see is a move higher, break structure, breaks down, and this tells you that on this current move, the 4 hours is turning bearish. And this is what you mean by trading 4 hours. And of course, I'm waiting for a higher move, perhaps into deeper supply areas like this. Okay, so you understand that we have deeper mitigation areas, and I assume that price is going to make a higher run into this level. Okay, so let's go back to the 4 hours, understanding that once prices break structure here, you are looking for a POI like this. Okay, you have several POIs on the 4 hours for you to work with. And what are you going to do with all of this? You're going down to the lower time frame to look for the shift on both ends to take sells. So I'm going to sell here, I'm going to sell here if the shift happens. Next up, we have the Euro Yen. So you can see we are trying to sell for Euro Yen. And where are you trying to sell from? You're going to sell from here and here. Okay, and understand that this is an entire 4 hours supply area. So you can go down to the lower time frame. Okay, so this is a wick break. For some traders, they use wick break in their strategy. And for me, I typically use body breaks. Okay, so assuming that you're using wick breaks, this is an area for you to sell from. So let's go down to the 15 and understand how you can catch this trade. Okay, you have a 4 hours break of structure here. You have a 15 minutes refined area like this, and another one over here. Okay, so both of these are POIs for you to work with. And understand that how you can catch this move will be go down to the lower time frame and look for the same pattern over again, right? The liquidation, the shift, the pullback for sells. So there are many schematics, there are many ways prices can deliver in this manner into your supply area. Okay, prices may actually do this to trick you, right? Liquidation, a slow move down that breaks structure. So many traders take this as a break of structure. So yes, technically there's a break of structure. But look at this movement over here. This is so slow, right? This is momentum missing. Okay, you want to wait for another move higher, then a strong breakdown like this. So can you see the difference in how prices breaks down the points over here? A strong move up, the breakdown, leaving behind supply zones for you to work with, then sell. Okay, And of course, we have another POI over here. So simply wait for the same shift for lower prices to be met. So next up, we have the euro dollar, and you can see that how we actually caught the trade over here. Understanding that this is a 4 hours break of structure, I'm looking for sells. And where is the move that caused the sell? So you go down to the 15 minutes time frame, you understand that this is the move that caused the sell, as well as this move over here. So right off the bat, we have a 15 minutes POI. And what I'm looking for was a lower time frame shift. So I went down to the 1 minute time frame, and you can take a look at this. Okay, so now prices makes its way higher and broke structure over here. You can see this is the break of structure. This is the low that created the high. Okay, this is the low that created the high. So at this instance, you are ready to look for sells. When prices broke structure, you could have been a seller here. So for me, I missed the first move and I saw this area over here instead. And what is this? This is a demand zone. And if prices wants to go higher, it will shift from here to higher prices. But in this case, can you see prices makes its way higher, came back, taps into my demand area, and taps it the second time, failed to make a high, and broke down. This becomes your flip zone. And all you can do is to place a sell limit here, stop loss above, and target liquidity lows. And this went for a runner, right? Or at least a 1:16. Okay, and understand how I catch this trade would be to use the seconds time frame, like the 5 seconds or the 15 seconds, to look for the shift if I want to confirm these areas. Otherwise, you are already ready to go for sells when prices taps into demand, failed to make a higher high, breaks down, flip zone, sell limit. So where are we heading to into euro dollars? And I'm still looking for sells. And where am I selling from? I'm going to sell from here. So this is a valid POI. Okay, this is a supply zone that caused this break of structure over here. So understand that on the lower time frame, this will be delivered higher. This will be a bullish move moving into your supply area. So what are you looking for? You're looking for a refined area like this. This is a refined area. I wouldn't use this. This is also a refined area like this. So all of these areas are POIs for you to work with. And what you need to do is to go down to the lower time frame to confirm these movements over here. Okay, assuming the 4 hour is a bullish leg moving into this level. Ultimately, I want to wait for a 4 hour shift. But if the range is too tight, you are unlikely going to see a 4 hours range, right? You're not going to see a 4 hours shift. And if that's the case, just go down to the 15, look for the shift in structure over here, like what we did previously for the other pairs, right? Over here and over here. So next up for pound yen, yes, this is the sell side move. And of course, break of structure, supply zone here. So we understand that we are going to continue to take sells until prices decides to break structure, then move into our supply. Okay, and this will not shift unless this gets broken. And now we are currently delivering prices on the sell side on the immediate time frame. This becomes your pivot high. This becomes your liquidity lows. So ultimately, we are just trying to sell. And we go down to the 15 minutes time frame and you can see this is the POI to work with. And I'm going to look for the 1 minute shift, understanding that all of this will be ran. Take the sells here after the shift. And of course, engineering liquidity while moving up into my POI. Taps into the last buy to sell. And this move may potentially move lower to grab all of this over here. Okay, so prices of course may make its way down from here. We do not know. This is a supply as well. Prices may tap into this, make its move down. Otherwise, we want to wait for prices to make its move higher into this refined zone before going down. Next up, we have the pound dollar. And you can see where the prices actually respected. This is the place where prices actually respected. This is the demand zone that broke structure here. So this means that we can actually look for buys, although the overall structure is sell. And where are we starting from? If I want to be a seller, I'm going to sell high. I'm going to sell here. I'm going to sell here, right? And this gives us a range for prices to make its way into our sell zone before taking sells lower, right? And that is why this is the demand zone. Okay, let's go down to the high time frame. You can see this was wicked out. I personally do not like that, and I'm going to use the daily. So this is the entire daily demand zone. So it's the same thing. 4 hours, I'm looking for the break of structure here. So once prices break structure here on the 4 hours, I'm going to look for buys. And I'm going to look for buys over here. And of course, in the same process, assuming prices broke structure already, I'm going to the 15-minute time frame to look for potential areas to buy from. And of course, you can see that this is a refined area as well. So with this movement, prices may tap into this demand before breaking structure. So I will not use this just yet. And we can go down even to the lower time frames. 1 hour, 30, 15, 8, 5 maybe. And you can see there are several areas for you to work with. Okay, this is a potential one as well. On the 2 or 3 minutes, we may have potential areas like this. So ultimately, I'm waiting for a 4-hour break of structure and take entries over here if prices comes back, right? Again, 4 hours outlook. I want to see a break of structure in the 4 hours. This is the first sign that tells me prices may want to hit higher into my sell zone for me to catch sells. So if I want to sell, where am I selling from? I'm going to refine this entire demand because it's a huge area for me to work with. So unless you're prepared to use a 15-minute shift in structure, then go for it. Otherwise, if you're working on a 1-minute time frame like myself, you don't want to work a 1-minute change in character or a structural shift in this huge 4-hour zone like this, because as mentioned previously, you can take many shifts before prices actually move off, and you may have lost money over here, lost money over here, lost money over here, and finally you take one trade over here. So at the end of the day, after you take 4 losses, are you ready to fire the next trade over here? And when you don't, this becomes the runner, right? And that's why choose the appropriate time frame. Okay, if you're working with the entire 4-hour zone, then use a larger time frame shift like the 15. But if you're going to refine this, then that way you can just wait for a move into this level. Understanding that you're working with a very tight demand area, and now with the 1-minute shift, you can take buys higher. Next up, New Zealand dollar. A clean break of structure. I'm looking for sells. And where am I selling from? I'm going to sell high. So let's go down to the lower time frame. Look for areas to sell from. So this is my POI. This is my POI. And I'm actually looking to sell only at these 2 areas. So similarly, wait for the 1-minute shift before taking sells, and over here as well. Next up, we have the dollar Canadian. And right off the bat, you can see a very nice break of structure here. Okay, and currently, you can see highs, lows. This high over here grabs liquidity, then breaks down. So this tells me that prices may have the incentive to go lower into my demand area before moving higher. Because yes, I have a bias of a buy side move. I have a break of structure, I have a pivot low, and I have a potential demand area for me to work with. So if you're working on a lower time frame, or you understand this immediate move, it's going to bring you lower potentially, right? And you can look for sells into your buy zone. So where is your sell zone, right? Because yes, prices broke structure here, grabs liquidity towards the top side, and now leaving behind demand areas, supply areas like this. So immediately you can look for sells already. So let's go down to the 1-minute and look at this. If you want to be a seller, you're going to sell at this 1-hour supply. And has the move went off yet? You can see. This is the high. This is the accumulation process. This is the break of structure. Okay. So now if I'm looking to sell, I may sell over here. Then hit lower. Okay. So this is just one way to get involved. Otherwise, you can expect prices to make its way higher before breaking structure to go lower again. So next up, we have the USD CHF. I'm ultimately waiting for the break of structure here for me to conclude the sell side move. And if prices break structure, I'm going to take a sell over here, assuming that there are supply zones. So let's go and see on the lower time frame whether we have refined supply zones to sell after the break of structure. 30 minutes, 8, 5. So okay, on the 5 minutes, we have a refined area like this. So potentially this could be your sell area. Okay. Otherwise, just trade off the entire 4-hour supply like this. Because this is a supply zone, prices break structure, you can be a seller here. Alright? Otherwise, wait for this refined POI. So if prices continue this bullish movement towards the upside, where are you going to buy from? Look at this over here. On the 8 minutes, right? We have a valid demand zone that was left untapped. Alright? And when prices taps into this level, how could you have gotten involved? Let's go down to the lower time frame, the 1 minute. And you can see, what is this? Break of structure. Okay. And for those who have traded Wyckoff, you understand that this is a schematic. Okay, it's not so obvious on the 1 minute, and I'm pretty sure that on the 30 minutes, on the 30 seconds or the 15 seconds, you have a selling climax. On the make rally, you have your ST, you have your signs of strength, you have your STMB, spring, break of structure, demand zone. Otherwise, you could wait for another demand zone over here for you to take prices higher. Next up for gold, you can see this is a supply zone where prices are moving towards. You can see the liquidation of these areas. And if I'm trying to buy, I would buy over here. Okay. Otherwise, wait for prices to break out of this level. So if I'm trying to sell, of course, this is the crucial point. If I'm trying to sell, I want to wait for prices to tap into this supply, makes its way into this demand. Demand fails, break structure, then trade the flip like this. Okay, so again, if I want to be a buyer, I'm going to wait for prices to move down from here. Okay, because understanding that this is the supply that I'm targeting for. So if prices moves down, I look for the shift for higher prices to be met. And this way, I'm trading the 4 hours uptrend. Okay, so if prices steps into this supply, now you are battling between a supply and demand. Alright, and you're just waiting for one of them to fail. Okay, so if prices step into this area, how am I looking for buys? I'm going to wait for the reaction caused by this supply and trade the flip. So this is the buy area. Okay, if prices taps in, pulls back, break structure, then this is my flip zone. But of course, if prices didn't tap into your demand here, then this could be used as a liquidity area for prices to grab, then break. So you have to understand how you can use these different demand areas, the reaction of supply and demands, to catch moves higher or lower. Lastly, for UJ, pretty straightforward. First of all, we have a break of structure here, a buy side move, and the ultimate low that caused this break comes from here. So I'm only going to take sales if prices break structure here, and you can see once prices breaks this low, I'm looking to sell here or here, right? And of course, you just repeat the same process. You can either use the entire supply or go down to the lower time frame to look for the refined zones like this. So this is my refined zone, and my refined zone will be this level over here. And that way, I can go down to the lower time frame to look for the shift in structure to move prices lower. So towards where? Where are we looking to sell into? It depends on how far prices break structure here. So let's say if prices break structure here, leaving behind a low over here, then you can take sales into this liquidity area. If prices goes lower, then of course you can wait for a move into this level, sell into this level. Hey guys, so this is the bonus section. We are actually expanding our Discord channel into a crypto section, and we actually do technical chartings for crypto. So if you are a crypto trader, you can look at our Discord channel and actually ask questions, gain some insights on where else you could buy from. So of course, understanding that all of these are not legal financial advice, all of these are just our opinion, and please treat them with care and caution.